Oregon is going to the Final Four.
The following is a Learfield presentation of the Oregon Sports Network.
And Oregon is going to play in the national championship game.
Big Ten champions. Big Ten champs.
National champions, yes.
Oklahoma City bound the Oregon Ducks.
Awesome day to be a Duck, man.
Boom inside. Touchdown Oregon. He gets loose. Fires. Hit. Pops the three. Oh, yeah. It's all Oregon.
This is Duck Insider. Duck Insider.
It's about how to be a group of people that know how to love each other to the absolute fullest.
Pleasure, joy to be with them each and every day. And I can't wait for the future.
It's just fun to be a part of a community that cares, that is passionate, and when we come together, powerful things can happen.
This is Duck Insider on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield, presented by OnPoint Community Credit Union. People are the point. Now let's go live to the Country Financial Studio to talk Oregon Duck Athletics.
There will be a regional at the Jays this weekend. Yes, it is an exciting weekend for Oregon after what was a heavyweight battle down in Los Angeles for Oregon baseball against UCLA. The Ducks unfortunately dropped that series, but that was razor thin. I think the Ducks proved that they are capable of playing with absolutely everybody, including the number one team in the country. And postseason baseball will be in effect this weekend at Jane Sanders Stadium. I said baseball. I meant softball. Postseason softball at the Jane because Oregon is hosting the regional at Jane Sanders Stadium for the second consecutive year. Jane Sanders Stadium will be an NCAA regional host. The Ducks earned the number 14 overall seed and will host the Big Sky champion in Idaho State in the first round of the regional. Also in the Eugene Regional is the West Coast Conference champions in St. Mary's and Mississippi State, who was an at-large selection out of the SEC. The regional will take place Friday through Sunday at Jane Sanders Stadium. Oregon will open the tournament by facing Idaho State at Friday at 7 p.m. on ESPNU. That will be the second game of the day because St. Mary's and MSU will be the first game on Friday at 4:30 p.m. The regional will be pared down to two teams on Saturday, and the regional final will be on Sunday. The way it works in the regional, you just can't lose twice. You just can't lose twice, but the first two games are of the utmost importance because if you control your destiny, if you're in the driver's seat, if you're 2-0 going into that regional final, then you're sitting in pretty position to advance throughout the regional final because all you have to do in the regional final is just win once. First two games are the utmost importance, but every game is of the utmost importance in postseason play. The Ducks, they earned the right to host this regional after going 40-12 overall and tying for second in the Big Ten Conference at 20-4. Oregon finished ninth in the final RPI and an overall strength of schedule of 8th, a non-conference strength of schedule of 4. There's an argument to be made that the 14 seed might have been a little low for Oregon. But ultimately, as long as you're in the top 16, it doesn't really matter as long as you get to host at Jane Sanders Stadium. This is the 6th straight NCAA tournament appearance for the Ducks under Coach Melissa Lombardi and the 26th NCAA appearance all-time in program history. Last season, Oregon advanced to the Women's College World Series for the first time since 2018. The Ducks have some history and recent history against some teams inside of this regional, as Oregon and Idaho State played as recently as this season. Idaho State went to the Jane earlier this year in the Oregon Classic, and it was a thriller. The Ducks ended up beating Idaho State 4-3 in extra innings. It took 8 innings for the Ducks to win on Elon Butler's double that scored Presley Lawton to give Oregon that 4-3 win the first time that these teams played. Oregon is 10-1 all-time against the Bengals of Idaho State. The Ducks and St. Mary's have played 26 times previously, and Oregon leads that series 22-4, with the last meeting being an Oregon victory in 2020. And Oregon and Mississippi State also played a game during the 2020 season in which the Ducks won 7-2, and Oregon is 2-0 all-time against the Bulldogs. So the Ducks have had success historically against these teams that are coming into the Jane, but obviously all valiant opponents. It's the reason why they all made postseason play. If you want to be at the Jane for the regional, tickets will go on sale to the general public at Tuesday at 5 p.m. Tuesday at 5 p.m. is when you can get your tickets. There is a link. You can go to https://am.ticketmaster.com/Oregon-Ducks/buy to get your tickets for the Oregon Softball Regional, or just go to GoDucks.com and find your ticket information. On Tuesday at 5 p.m. is when tickets open. The schedule is going to be Game 1 between Mississippi State and St. Mary's on 4:30 on ESPN Plus on Friday. Oregon and Idaho State is the game right after at 7 p.m. on Friday on ESPNU. Then there will be 3 games played on Saturday. The winner's bracket game will start at 2 p.m. starting off Saturday. Then it'll be the loser's game, and then it will be the winner of the loser's game against the loser of the winner's game to close out Saturday before the 2 potential games of the regional final will come to be played on Sunday. 4:30 p.m. will be that first game of the regional final, and then the if necessary game will be at 7 p.m. afterwards. Oregon hosting another regional at Jane Sanders Stadium. A strong season for Oregon throughout the regular season across the board. A little bit of a disappointing finish to the Big Ten tournament last weekend. Could have slid Oregon down a spot or 2 in their regional seeding. Ultimately, all that matters is the Ducks host and this Eugene Regional. If Oregon is able to advance, it would be matched up against Oklahoma, a team that Oregon faced in postseason play as recently as 2 years ago, and a team that Coach Lombardi has a lot of history with. A lot of work to do before either team can focus on super regional play, because the regional is here, and Idaho State is the first team on the docket. The entire softball team was together on Sunday, Selection Sunday, when Oregon got their designation as a regional host team, and briefly afterwards, Coach Melissa Lombardi met with the media, breaking down the selection for Oregon softball as another regional host. It was a big selection for the Ducks, again securing a regional host at Jane Sanders Stadium. I expect for everybody to pack the Jane this weekend. Jane Sanders is alive and well and back coming up this weekend. Coach Lombardi is pretty excited about Oregon hosting another regional. Here's her conversation with the media right after the Ducks selection.
It never gets old. It's something we never, ever will take for granted. It's just the best thing in the world. I think about how hard this group has worked all year to get their name called and to be one of the top 16 seeds. So to be the number 14 seed and to get the opportunity to play at Jane Sanders Stadium in front of our fans is the best thing.
Just what was maybe your first reaction when you saw that you would be taking on Idaho State, knowing that was a team that has already played at Jane Sanders Stadium once this season?
Yeah, I think anytime we can play an opponent that we're familiar with and have played in the past, it just gives us that familiarity. We've prepared for them already, so that helps with preparation. I mean, obviously, they just won their championship, and they're in a much better place right now than they were when we played them. And I think the same thing for us, but I think it's nice to play an opponent that we have already played.
Coach, I was asking Steph and Amari as well just about all the comeback wins and winning in different ways this year. As someone who's coached in a lot of postseason games, just how big is that when you go into postseason knowing that you have that kind of experience to win in pretty much any kind of way?
I think it's really big for us, because sometimes you can get caught up in expecting that you can only win in a certain way. And I think knowing that you have the ability to do it a lot of different ways, I think it gives these guys confidence. It gives them, it allows them to play loose. They're not playing tight. They're playing loose. They're embracing the situation and basically celebrating, what we've done all year as a group.
Okay, maybe not the result you guys wanted out of the Big Ten tournament with that, knockout from Wisconsin, but what was, I guess, taken from that kind of that first round of quote unquote playoffs going into starting out the NCAAs this weekend?
I think anytime we don't get what we want, one thing that we do a really great job of is we debrief as a group to figure out, what are things that we did well, what are things that need to do better, and what are the solutions moving forward. And if you look at our group from the beginning of the year to right now, we have gotten to where we're at right now because of those debriefs. So it was unfortunate. It was a tough loss for us in the Big Ten tournament, but I think about some things that we needed to get figured out, and it gave us the opportunity to do that. I think this group's in a really, really good place. I like the power that we have at the plate. I like our pitching, and I really like our defense. So I think it's just important for us to play together as a team and, don't let moments get too big. I think the game against Wisconsin in some spots got too big for us.
Yeah, building off Rowan's question, this is something you guys kind of went through last year, losing that first game of the Big Ten tournament to Michigan, and then able to come back and kind of learn from that, take that extended kind of rest period, and then into the regional, super regionals, and everything. Just how big is that extended rest period that you guys have been able to have? And then you've talked about learning from those losses all year. How much are you taking that into these regionals and knowing that you guys are just going to be continuing to grow from that feat?
Yeah. We wanted to be playing on Saturday, but the one thing that it did do is allow us to come home and get some rest. And last year the same thing happened, but we got the rest that we needed, and good things happen. So this is what's nice, is that that's a piece of the journey, but it's not the end. And I think this group was able to come home, rest up a little bit. We had a really nice day of practice today. This group was just here last year. It seems like we were just doing this that quick. And I love the experience that we have. I think they have a great understanding of what it takes to win a regional and how to go about it. And I really like that about this group. They're experienced, they're mature. They have elders that get it. I just think this group's I think going into this year, this group knows so much more than maybe last year.
So I was wondering, what was just your initial reaction to the seeding of where you guys would put and the team, considering the strength of schedule that you guys had to face this season, how difficult it was? Just what's kind of the mindset of understanding that, the hope was to host both and so that not only do you have to, of course, win this regional series this coming year, but may need a little help down the road as well if you want to expand.
I think for us, I'm really, really proud of this group. We knew that we were going to take on a tougher schedule. Last year our name was called and we were called number 16, and they told us that our schedule wasn't good enough. And I thought this year we planned a very difficult schedule. And I think in the first 2 weekends had 5 losses. And then from there, we had losses kind of sprinkle. So it took us a little bit to figure it out, but I'm so thankful for the schedule because I think it put this group in a really great place. We've played we've seen it all. We've seen every arm out there possible. We've seen every type of team. We've seen it. And so I think this group is prepared and ready to go. As far as seeds and whether I think we should be a certain seed or not, to me, when we get to this point, when they call your name, that's what they call your name. What our regional is what our regional is, and we will stay right there with that. I know that we've got Idaho State, and that's all we care about right now. And I know that's all our team cares about. And then from there, we'll take it as it goes. But this group is really excited. They're excited about their hard work and everything that they put into this year to give us an opportunity to host and to play at home.
Okay, I know we've talked a couple times on how great Steph has been to the morale of the team, especially being as loud as she is over at first. We were talking to her earlier a little bit about what she's been working on throughout the season and how she's helping other players go into the postseason. Given that she was just named to the first team All Big Ten at the end of it and took home conference tournament player. What have you seen from her kind of develop throughout this season, both kind of starting off a little slow, really turning it on towards the end, that has helped her? And how has she been kind of like distributing that help throughout the team that has propelled you in a way to get to where you guys are right now?
Yeah, for sure. When we recruited Steph, we loved the physical power that she had. We loved the energy that she provides. But what we knew from day one is the leadership that was going to come from her. And you could see her have some leadership as a freshman, but as a sophomore, what I think really was a huge turning point for her is her just really diving into her leadership this year. I felt like the more she has dived into her leadership, the better you've seen her perform at the plate and at first base. There's something about leading others and getting caught up in what others are doing that essentially frees you up as an individual and you stop worrying about yourself so much. You start worrying about others. You start to play it a little loose. With what you're demanding from them, if you're demanding it from them, then you need to be able to demand it from yourself first. And I think just all those things are what I'm seeing from Steph, and I'm loving it. She just is playing free. She's, around these guys and providing confidence and leadership and just being a great teammate. She loves to play the game, and you can clearly see that when she steps out on the field.
Yeah, you just mentioned the importance of rest for a player like Lindsay, who has thrown so many pitches this year and won so many games. Just how important was it for her to kind of have some time to be able to reset before this upcoming regional?
I think it was really important. It's funny how things kind of work out. Sometimes things you have something that doesn't go your way, and maybe you're a little frustrated by it or upset because you didn't get what you want. But then in the big picture, it almost becomes a blessing a little bit. And that's what I see with us getting this additional rest time.
Just talk a bit about the Lions Den and the Jane environment that you guys have kind of cultivated there. You're able to bring postseason play back there last season and, delivered with some big time moments for them. So just what do you expect from them this weekend and in terms of what they're going to be able to do for you guys out there on the field?
I expect them to absolutely roar. And for Jane's sanity to be in full effect, because one, we absolutely love playing at the Jane. There's no better place to play. But two, the energy and the support that our fans bring us, they're a difference maker. So it's about them packing the house like they have all year long and coming out and just continuing to do what they've done every home game for us. They're a big part of what we do.
Can't wait to see the Jane packed this weekend for postseason play at Jane Sanders Stadium starting against Idaho State. Make sure to get your tickets. They open on Tuesday at 5 p.m. Go to GoDucks.com. All the information will be there for you to be at the Jane. For postseason play, once again, we're getting a timeout and then hearing from some very impactful players that helped Oregon get to this point when we return on Duck Insider on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Hey campers, it's Jan from Toyota. This summer, we're headed to Camp Toyota, and the fun starts now. Your summer starts here.
Dealer inventory may vary. See your participating Toyota dealer for details. Event ends June 1st. Toyota, let's go places.
As a local community credit union founded by teachers, OnPoint is committed to supporting the students and faculty at the University of Oregon. And on game day, we're right there with you, on the field, in the bleachers, and in the classrooms. Drop by one of your local branches today and discover the many ways OnPoint can help support your financial well-being. OnPoint Community Credit Union. People are the point. Federally insured by NCUA. Equal housing opportunity.
Hey campers, it's Jan from Toyota. This summer, we're headed to Camp Toyota, and the fun starts now. Your summer starts here.
Dealer inventory may vary. See your participating Toyota dealer for details. Event ends June 1st. Toyota, let's go places.
Duck Insider, your home for the latest news on Oregon athletics on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
This message is for Shauna, my mom who just finished her high school diploma. I wanted to say I'm so proud of you for finishing school. You told me it's never too late to achieve your dreams. I hope to make you as proud as you have made me.
When you graduate, they graduate. Finish your high school diploma for you and for them. Visit finishyourdiploma.org to find free and supportive adult education centers near you. Brought to you by the Dollar General Literacy Foundation and the Ad Council.
Don't act like that. Don't wear that. Don't think that. I've heard everything you tell yourself every time you felt different. And I want you to know that you can be vulnerable and powerful. That taking care of your mind is taking care of everyone you love and who loves you. Love your mind. Find mental health resources at loveyourmindtoday.org. Brought to you by the Huntsman Mental Health Institute and the Ad Council.
inside the Country Financial Studio. It's Second Saturday, brought to you by OnPoint Community Credit Union. We're talking Oregon softball, ready to host in the Eugene Regional once again. A host team last year advanced, got a little luck of the draw, was able to host a Super Regional and made it to the College World Series. Oregon hosting in Eugene once again. And a big reason for that has been the resurgence of Stephanie Maake, especially over the latter half of the season. It was a slow start to the year for Stephanie Maake, but then she really pulled it together and earned all Big Ten honors, as well as finishing about as strong as she possibly could have. She was the only Duck named to the Big Ten All-Tournament team. She had a great series against UCLA, had a great game against Wisconsin in the Big Ten tournament, and she's a big reason why Oregon is going to host in the postseason starting this weekend. Stephanie Maake meeting with the media after Oregon got their selection as a host seed in the regional round. Here's Maake.
Hi, Stephanie. I know that your team didn't exactly have the finish that you guys wanted in that Big Ten tournament. Just kind of what was the message after the tournament, kind of going forward? I know you found a lot of success in that game, but just what was the message kind of to the team heading into today's selection show, no matter where you guys were going to go?
Yeah, I think after that game, we were just like, we were in the same situation last year and we hosted a regional and a super. And I think it was just being able to learn from what we had done during that Wisconsin game. It kind of hurt us then, but I think we know that it's time to move on and that we can't just dwell on it because we got bigger things to worry about or ahead of us. And so I think it was just being able to move on, come back, take a little reset day, and then come back and practice today.
Okay. So obviously, you were in the regional, super regionals, and playoffs last year in general. What are you taking from last year's experience, both from the postseason overall in the Big Ten tournament, and then growing as a player this year, struggling a little bit early on, and then really turning it on there, flying through the rest of the season, having a couple great moments down the line? What are you taking from all of that into this year's playoffs?
Yeah, I think it's just being able to have a veteran's mentality. I mean, last year I was a freshman getting thrown into the fire, and there was a couple of us that were, but I think it's just learning from Paige and Kai from last year. They were a big part of who I became as a player now. I think it's just having postseason mentality and knowing that from here on out, it's going to be challenging to move forward and just to really lean on each other.
Talking about postseason mentality, and that's something that you guys have brought up a lot, especially, going into that UCLA series last weekend and stuff like that. Just how does that actually shift once you do hit the postseason? Is there any shift in that mentality to kick it up even to another notch of that postseason mindset?
Yeah, I think for postseason, we got one more gear. And so just to shift it a little bit more, postseason mentality, man. I've experienced it last year, and honestly, if I was a different opponent, I would not want to go play at the Jane, just because we saw how the Jane was rocking last year, and I think any other opponent would hate to play there because honestly, I can barely hear the girls on the field. But I think we got one more gear, and I think if we shift that this weekend, I think we'd be in a pretty good spot for supers.
How much more confident are you feeling heading into this year's postseason? And what do you feel like some of the biggest lessons that you learned from this season ago, and sharing some of the newcomers on this year's team?
Yeah, I'm pretty confident. I mean, I'm coming off a high these last couple of weekends, but I'm really confident now than I was last year during this time. And I think it's just because of the group of girls and the coaches that I'm surrounded with bring so much joy and love to the team, and honestly just recognize all the accolades that other people are getting and just really loving and honing on them. With the newcomers, Amari has had a lot of postseason experience, especially from the school that she came from. So I think it's just learning from her. Last year we were in the same spot, but I think there's more to learn as a veteran now from Elon, Amari, or Lindsay. Just to hear words from them has really brought my confidence up. And then just Taryn and all the freshmen, and then Addie, just really leaning on us just because we've been in this position before and we've had this experience. But I think they just need to trust us and just to really lean on us moving forward.
Yeah, as a hitter, what is it like kind of preparing for a team that you've kind of already faced? How much do you lean into that? And how much are you just like, that was a really long time ago, it feels like. And we have to, we have to consider more of the recent stuff that you guys like. How much are you able to reflect on that last game? And how much are you just kind of focused on doing what you can do and focusing on yourself?
Yeah, I think we played them in the Jane Sanders Classic, and I was looking at my stats actually, and I got hit by a pitch, so there wasn't very much that I could do about it. But I think coming off of last game, I think it's just having a short-term memory, and just moving forward. We got Idaho State this weekend, so we got to really work on them and then continue to work on the other teams. But I think it's just focusing on game one and moving forward, just because if you want to get to game two, you got to get past game one. So I think it's just really honing on game one these next couple of days.
Okay, you mentioned confidence growing as you come in with a veteran mentality, having already played in the postseason. What is your now going into your second and having Amari help you out and the other veterans help you out with your growth process through these? What is your preparation process like going into this first round of the postseason?
Yeah, I think it's just getting with Elon and Amari and just really knowing what our plan and approach is against these pitchers. Idaho State's also coming off a high with winning their conference. So I think it's just really trusting each other and really talking with Coach Rowe and Coach Martyr about what our plans are this week or our game one, and trusting that the plan will go solid. If we don't get the result we want the first at bat, just to really, again, trust is a big word that I use, especially this season, but to just trust in each other and trust that the plan that Coach Martyr and Coach Rowe, because they've worked so hard on focusing on watching film and seeing what the pitchers are throwing. But I think it's just, again, trusting them and their ability to know that we are good.
What do you had mentioned, helping everybody else kind of come up like Taryn, come up and into the postseason. What is there one main thing that you're trying to tell them? Maybe it is that, just forget what happened in the last one and move on, or are you focusing on maybe another lesson that you would learn throughout last postseason and this season?
I think it's just, again, my freshman year, we were thrown into the fire. And so I kind of relate to her feeling the pressure of being able to play at shortstop in big moments. Honestly, I just tell her during this past 2 weekends ago, she told me, she was like, I need you to look at me and just get me out of my own head. And so I think it was really mature of her to tell me that, especially I'm her wing woman. And so the confidence that she had, like, I just thought it was brave of her to come up to me and have the confidence to ask for help. Because last year I was a little scared to do that, but I think Paige did a great job of being my watchwoman and knowing what I needed, especially being thrown into the fire like that. But with Taryn, I just tell her, have a short-term memory. She's been getting hits after hits after hits. And so I just told her, like, don't let the moment get too big for you. Just think of it as practice. If you ever need anything, just look at me, and I got her.
Stephanie, we had a question for Amari about the comeback wins, the 20 come from behind wins this year, and kind of thinking back to that UCLA series, you were a big part of the two comeback wins there. Where does that mentality come from?
Yeah, I think it's just with my teammates, and Coach Martyr and Coach Rowe. Honestly, I didn't have a plan. I was just like, hit the ball hard. And so my ability to do that is a lot. I was just watching my Wisconsin game film and I was like, wow, I literally barely touched the ball and it went out. So I think it's just trusting in the power that I have and the plan that Coach Rowe and Coach Martyr has set for me.
Can we put that into context for a second, what she just said? I felt like I barely touched it and it went out. I don't know how many people can say that. If I barreled it up, it'd like maybe get to the cutout of the infield. It's not getting out to say it. That is Stephanie Maake has showcased some power throughout the course of her career, but I think that's one of the most absurd statements that I have heard. And it's true. It's true. That's awesome, and I am so excited to see her at the Jane this weekend. But she's not the only player who we heard from after Oregon's selection as a host seed in the regional starting this weekend. Talking to more players when we return after this on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
As a local community credit union founded by teachers, OnPoint is committed to supporting the students and faculty at the University of Oregon. And on game day, we're right there with you, on the field, in the bleachers, and in the classrooms. Drop by one of your local branches today and discover the many ways OnPoint can help support your financial well-being. OnPoint Community Credit Union. People are the point. Federally insured by NCUA. Equal housing opportunity.
When life blindsides you with an injury, you need a team that's tough. For over 30 years, Morgan & Morgan has been fighting for the people. This season, we're proud to partner with Oregon Athletics. Because whether it's on the field or in the courtroom, we're both determined to do what it takes to win. Morgan & Morgan, proud partner of Oregon Athletics. Injured? Dial pound law. Morgan & Morgan, 10150 Southwest 6th Avenue, Portland. Prior results do not guarantee a similar outcome.
This is Duck Insider. Duck Insider on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
I'm a pretty great multitasker. I can wash dishes and do laundry. I can roller skate while walking my dog. I can even order lunch while doing my homework. But I can't use my phone while driving. A distracted driver is one of the leading causes of death in the United States. So when it comes to driving, please, don't be a multitasker.
Don't drive distracted. A message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, and the Ad Council.
How serious is youth vaping? Irreversible lung damage serious. 1 in 10 kids vape serious, which warrants a serious conversation from a serious parental figure like yourself. Not the seriously know-it-all sports dad or the seriously smart podcaster. It requires a serious conversation that is best had by you. No, seriously, the best person to talk to your child about vaping is you. To start the conversation, visit talkaboutvaping.org. Brought to you by the American Lung Association and the Ad Council.
You know you make me wanna kick my heels up and throw my hands up and throw my head back and come on now. Don't forget to say you will. Don't forget to say yeah.
We are back inside the Country Financial Studios. Duck Insider brought to you by OnPoint Community Credit Union. Ron Milano here with you on a Monday after the Oregon Softball Regional Selection. Make sure Tuesday, 5 p.m. is when tickets open. Go to GoDucks.com to make sure that you can get your tickets to see Oregon face off against Idaho State in the first round of the regional, and then throughout the course of the Eugene Regional. Make sure you're there and supporting the Ducks the whole way. The atmosphere at the regional last year, I mean, I was at the Jane for a long, I called Oregon softball for 2 years. The atmosphere at the Jane last season during the postseason, it was unlike anything that I experienced while I called the team, and I expect that it's the same, if not a better atmosphere coming up for this upcoming weekend when Oregon is going to host the Eugene Regional once again. Stephanie Maake was a big reason for Oregon getting there. We just talked to her. Amari Harper, she was also a massive reason. Not only has she been really good for the Ducks this year, she also just recently got drafted and is going to be a professional Duck coming up in just a few weeks, really. After the college season ends, the AUSL season starts almost immediately. And Amari Harper, I cannot wait to see her and her contributions in the professional ranks. But first, I want to see her and her contributions for Oregon in the postseason. She met with the media after Oregon's selection as a regional host. Let's hear from Amari Harper.
You've been there before, so what kind of can you take from your previous experience into this year?
Yeah, I think honestly not taking anything for granted and just taking it one step at a time. Obviously, I've been in situations that haven't been the greatest and that haven't been in our favor. So I think just taking what I've learned from that and just really talking to this team about how we just needed to take it one step at a time, and even how taking it one step at a time for them ended them in a great position last year. So just trying to keep that energy this whole weekend and moving forward.
You guys have obviously had a lot of success at the Jane this season. Just what do you guys take about that in terms of going into postseason, just playing in front of your home crowd there?
Yeah, I think it's going to be awesome. I think the Jane brings an energy that really helps us elevate and really gives us just such a positive vibe, even in maybe some of the not great situations that we've been in. So I think really using the energy that it provides and using our fans and really just showing out for them, it's going to be awesome. And I think it's really going to help us being home this weekend.
Yeah. What was the biggest lesson?
Oh, lesson. I'm sorry.
No.
I think the biggest lesson obviously was like I said, like you can't take anything for granted. You have to focus on what's in front of you and being able to take care of that, and that honestly anybody can be anybody and that it's not guaranteed. So really understanding that the position we're in is awesome. It's a gift, but really using it to our advantage and taking it one game at a time.
Hey, how's it going? So you guys, hosting St. Mary's and Idaho State and Mississippi State, and you guys played Idaho State back in February. How do you, since that game went 8 innings and ended on a Butler double, how do you think, I guess you guys, since that game has grown, going back into that game, hosting them again in the Jane, and what are you kind of looking forward to since you've played them before? Seeing again.
Yeah, I think we've grown competitively as a team and offensively and obviously defensively. So I think it'll every game is going to be a challenge from here on out, but using the mistakes that we had in that game and also using the positives from that game and seeing how we could grow upon that and just seeing what challenges we may hit in that game and then addressing those in practice and kind of just building off what we already know and just growing from there. But I think from February to now, we've had such a great shift of mindset and we've really had a good offensive, I think, run for our team consistently. So I think just trying to enhance that and use that against the Idaho State, which we didn't initially when we played them.
You guys feel like the seedings in your whole rankings, right? Do you feel like you guys seeded, or you guys thought you would be? Do you feel like higher, lower? What was kind of your reaction to placing in your board?
Yeah, I think the seeding, obviously, like you want to be a top 8 seed, but it is what it is. I think we just wanted to host, and that was our biggest goal and trying to see where we landed in that, and then obviously who we ended up getting to. So I don't think it was very much a concern of where we were going to be or how it was going to turn out. It was just, okay, where are we going to end up? If we host, that's awesome. That was a goal of ours. If we don't, okay, then we need to go to regional and compete our butts off. But I think it was very positive mindset for our team and from our coaches going into the seeding. And it was awesome to kind of see how everything played out.
Kind of in the same situation last season. You guys were not a top 8 seed, but top 16, able to host, and then able to host a super regional after that. Just having already gone kind of through that experience, knowing that anything can happen, how do you feel like that's kind of helped you guys heading into this postseason, knowing that really anything can happen and just focusing first on regionals?
Yeah, I think it's a huge step for us, and it's going to be a huge process. And just even taking it inning by inning, pitch by pitch, understanding that our process is going to look a lot different from the teams that we're competing against and other teams in the nation. So really just trying to center it on us and what we're working on and not listen to the outside noise or kind of the outside obviously games and the competitiveness of that and how that's going to go. So I think just again, like you said, taking it one game at a time and really focusing on what's in front of us and then from there move on and deal with the next thing.
And again, I apologize if this question's already been asked, but playing Idaho State in that first round matchup, having played them already this season, I know it was a really competitive game at the Jane earlier this season. But how are you guys kind of internalizing that experience, knowing it was such a long time ago and you guys are like a new team and how much you've grown and developed, but also knowing that you are pretty familiar with your first matchup opponent?
Yeah, I think obviously like it was a great game but I think it was also like very early in the season, so understanding that they've grown as a team as well as have we. So really understanding what we did wrong and kind of picking up those little mistakes and fixing them in practice and then emphasizing what we did do right and kind of expanding on that and just trying to take that into each game throughout the weekend.
Mari, you guys have found a lot of different ways to win this year. Obviously, the 20 come from behind wins and just a lot of different situations. For you, having a lot of postseason experience at all, just how helpful is that to know that you guys can win in different ways and it doesn't matter how many runs you're down, that you're going to treat it like it's a tie ball game every time?
Yeah, I think it's one of the best feelings you could have, honestly. I think when you go down in games a lot, people tend to get nervous or kind of start to crumble, but it's awesome to know that it does not matter the situation for us, understanding that as long as we have innings and time and pitches that we could come back and we can make a ball game out of it. So I think it's really going to help us moving forward, but understanding that that's also not how we want to win every game, and trying to make those shifts and getting ahead. And then when we need to come from behind in cases that we can, but also realizing that going into postseason, we need to be able to jump on these teams that are very competitive and can do a come from behind win just like we can.
Okay. Having had a little experience yourself in this before, what does the planning process look like going in to these next couple of days before this starts? Is it anything different? Are you focusing on anything a little bit more, or is there a huge overhaul?
I think overall it's more just focusing on mainly taking away stuff from our first game. So obviously Idaho State really emphasizing on how we're going to attack them offensively, and then just making sure we're all on the same page defensively, pitching wise, all that stuff. So I don't think it's a very different change than normal going against an opponent for the weekend, but just understanding that we're going to have multiple opponents this weekend. So being able to take it one by one and being able to differentiate each opponent and the timing in which we would play them as well. So just trying to take it step by step and then day by day have a little bit of each, so we know that we could be in any position, and understanding that we could be playing anybody throughout the weekend.
Hey, Amari, I'm not sure if everybody in this group knows, but your mom and Coach Lombardi played together at Oklahoma, and your relationship with Coach Lombardi is probably a lot different than anybody else's on the team. So what was that like growing up, and then what's it like now you're playing your final year for Coach Lombardi?
Yeah, I think growing up it was a lot different. I don't know, it was very much like a little kid. Like, she was my mom's best friend, so just being able to have that person to look up to and talk to and learn about the game from. I think as I got older, it definitely got a little different because it became reality that I could be playing for her, possibly even during the recruiting process. And then obviously when I decided to go at 8 a.m., we had our relationship stayed amazing. It was times that we couldn't talk just because of roles and everything, but we obviously stayed connected and would be able to visit on breaks and everything. But I think playing for her in my final year has just been awesome. She's like an aunt figure to me, so it's been amazing to be around her and kind of learn from her and see her in a different light than I have in my previous years and growing up. So it's been a lot of fun, and I think it's just gonna be great going into postseason with her and knowing that she's been in this position so many times. So really learning how to handle it from the good and the bad, and just seeing what I can learn from her moving forward.
Kind of going along with the journey that Greg mentioned, obviously we didn't get a chance to talk to you before the tournament. You got drafted to Oklahoma, knowing that you're going to play at the next level. Just what was that moment like, knowing that you're going to, you actually knew where you were going to play, and also too, obviously you're going to be teammates with Sig coming up here.
Yeah, it was very surreal. I think for the longest time, obviously, professional softball has it's definitely grown, but the possibilities that it's opened up for a lot of young players like myself has been awesome. Going to OKC, the Spark is going to be such a great experience, and I know there's so many amazing players on there that I can't wait to learn from, and obviously Coach Rowe being one of them. So I'm super excited, and I really can't wait to see what that experience is going to be like, what I'm going to learn from it, and then what can I take into that experience for like what I've already learned in college and what I already know. But I'm super excited. I think it's going to be a great opportunity, and just it's going to be another amazing time for me to get to compete in something that I didn't think was possible until a couple weeks ago.
Oregon's newest future pro Duck, but current impact player on what is going to be a pivotal postseason run for Oregon. The Ducks had a lot of success in the postseason last year, trying to replicate that this season. It starts at the Jane on Friday. Make sure you make Jane such a difficult environment to play in for an opponent and a great environment to play in for a fan. You always deliver, Duck fans. You always do, and I can't wait to see you out again at Jane Sanders Stadium this weekend. It's not only a big weekend in Eugene for Oregon softball, it's also a massive weekend for Oregon baseball, in large part because of what the Ducks did this weekend against the number one team in the country. Breaking down that series when we come back on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
At Shadow Hills Country Club, we're more than just an award-winning golf course and practice facility. Our events team offers all-inclusive event pricing that allows us to take care of all the details while you enjoy your event. Our indoor and outdoor venues offer you a wide variety of fully staffed options that put the focus on you. From weddings to business and social events, at Shadow Hills Country Club Events Center, you get the benefits of a resort atmosphere and amenities in a peaceful country setting, just minutes from downtown Eugene. Call for a tour today or visit shadowhillsevents.com.
Hey Duck fans, at Country Financial, they make insurance easy. Whether you're shopping for home, auto, or more, their representatives will take the time to understand your specific needs and explain what options work best for you. Worry less and feel more confident knowing you're covered. Visit countryfinancial.com to get started today. Experience more with Country Financial.
Auto and home insurance policies issued by Country Mutual Insurance Company, Country Preferred Insurance Company, and Country Casualty Insurance Company, Bloomington, Illinois.
Your daily dose of Oregon athletics. This is Duck Insider from Learfield.
And here's Heather with the weather.
Well, it's beautiful out there, sunny and 75, almost a little chilly in the shade. Now, let's get a read on the inside of your car. It is hot. You've only been parked a short time and it's already 99 degrees in there. Let's not leave children in the back seat while running errands. It only takes a few minutes for their body temperatures to rise, and that could be fatal.
Cars get hot, fast, and can be deadly. Never leave a child in a car. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
You took the first step and quit smoking, but even former smokers may still be at risk for lung cancer. That's why SaveByTheScan.org wants you to know about a new low-dose CT scan that can detect lung cancer early. It takes only 60 seconds and could save your life. You took the first step, now take the next. Visit SaveByTheScan.org for a simple quiz to see if you're eligible and talk to your doctor about screening. SaveByTheScan.org is brought to you by the American Lung Association's Lung Force Initiative and the Ad Council.
I want you to know. I said I want you to know right now. You've been good to me, baby. Better than I've been to myself.
Back inside the Country Financial Studio, it's Duck Insider, brought to you by OnPoint Community Credit Union. Ryan Milano here with you on a Monday after a great weekend for Oregon softball in terms of them getting announced as a regional host coming up for this upcoming weekend in the postseason. And Oregon baseball went down to UCLA and played the number one team in the country and gave them just about everything that they could handle. It looked like Oregon for a second was going to win this series. Unfortunately, the Ducks didn't end up winning, and it didn't look like Oregon was going to be in great shape in this series after Game 1. It was kind of a punch in the mouth in Game 1. The Ducks lost 11-1. The Ducks got run ruled. It was not a good game. And you thought, oh my goodness, number one team in the country who hasn't lost a conference game yet. It's just not the way that you wanted to perform. Oregon was looking to go down there and really impose their will and showcase what they were capable of. And then in Game 2, it looked like more of the same because in the first inning, UCLA jumps out to 4 runs, and you're like, oh my gosh, dude, like, is this the way this weekend's really going to go? No, because the Ducks were resilient across the course of the entire weekend, and in this game on Saturday specifically, after falling down 4-0, Gabe Miranda drove in a run in the second inning to make it 4-1, and then Junior Lawaki came to the plate, and if you're watching on YouTube and Facebook, you see him doing his home run celebration. That's because he mashed the ball to center field, and the batter's eye got in the way of it probably leaving the state of California. It was a 3-run home run to get Oregon back in the game and tie it at 4. But then UCLA had a home run, and they were up 5-4. A really great outing from Colin Clark to extend. After he ran into trouble in the first, he gave up that run in the third. He gave Oregon 4 1/3 pretty good innings, and it passed. He was able to pass the ball to the bullpen with only a 1-run deficit for the Ducks. Cal Scolari came in. He was pretty good, and at one point, this game was tied with Cal Scolari on the bump because Ryan Cooney, he was able to drive in Jack Brooks. This was a really critical, I think, sequence in this game because Jack Brooks worked a 1-out, full-count walk And then against a pitcher that throws over 100 miles an hour, he timed him up and was able to steal second base. Then he was dancing with him off of second base, and Brooks drew a balk. So after the walk, a steal, a balk, and now he's on third with one out, and Ryan Cooney does Ryan Cooney things. The veteran hits a ground ball to the right side, or rather up the middle. It's ground ball to the shortstop, but up the middle of the diamond with a fast runner on third. It's enough to score the run. Oregon tied it at 5. And then Rock Chalowski came up. He had a great weekend. He's a great player, and he hit a home run. So the Ducks going into the 8th were down 6-5, and 2 quick outs came in the inning. But then Angel Laya gets a hit. And then Maddox Maloney stings a ball to right field. Diving attempt. No, he can't catch it. It's out of his glove. Laya rounding the bases. A throw to the plate. Great slide by Angel Laya. He's in. This game is tied. Then immediately after, Gabe Miranda finds a way on. He works a walk. Then it was in the 8th spot. Junior Lawaki hit a chopper up the middle. And he was able to reach base as well. And then with 2 outs and the bases loaded, Jack Brooks came through in a massive way, and he hit a ball into left center field. It cleared the bases. The Ducks lead 9-6. Tanner Bradley, he came in. He was able to close down the game for Oregon. The Ducks win and hand UCLA their first loss in conference play all year long. Jack Brooks made a massive impact. Here's Jack Brooks after the game, after he made a huge contribution to Oregon's victory on Saturday.
All right, Jack, incredible game, capped by a nice 3-run double there in the 8th inning. Just take me through it. Take me through the at-bat and the results.
Yeah, I mean, the at-bat started with those 3 guys before me getting on base, and they did their job. And I just had to come through in a moment there, and I got my pitch to hit, and I didn't miss it, so it was a good time.
You want to talk about character wins. Obviously, last night,
Yes, sir.
Run
Yeah.
ruled.
Mhm.
You come out, you give up 4 in the first inning. A lot of teams would have quit, not this team.
Yeah, no, our team doesn't quit. That's kind of something that we pride ourselves on. Our standard is we don't ever quit. We're just going to keep going until the last out's made. And today we didn't quit. We went through the whole game. And, I mean, it was just a great win for us. It was awesome.
Ducks didn't quit on Saturday, got a 9-6 win. Then going into Sunday, Oregon with a chance to take the series. And the Ducks got out to a good start after UCLA scored first. Oregon rattled off 6 straight runs, with 5 of them coming in the 4th inning. Oregon was up 6-1. Ultimately, Miles Gostola gave Oregon a great start, but the Ducks, they had to tax their bullpen a little bit over the course of the first 2 games of the series. Oregon wasn't as fresh in the back end, and UCLA, a very talented offense that's been known for coming back in games this season, ultimately did. It was a bit gut-wrenching in the 8th inning. Oregon made it wasn't quite the cleanest defense in the 8th. There weren't exactly mistakes made, but you got to play perfect baseball if you're going to win a series on the road against the number 1 team in the country. Oregon didn't. UCLA, they were able to come out with a big 8th inning, a grand slam with 2 outs, or with 1 out rather, ultimately was the difference, and the Ducks ended up losing 9-6 and almost an inverse of Saturday. But walking away from UCLA with 1 win was massively important, because now it sets up a series against USC, this week, Thursday, Friday, Saturday at PK Park, where Oregon controls their destiny to get a top 4 seed and against another top 8 RPI team. UCLA, they've won the regular season in the conference. But then Nebraska's at 20-7, USC's at 19-8, Oregon and Purdue are at 18-9. Oregon controls the tiebreaker over Purdue and Nebraska. And the Ducks going against USC, if Oregon wins the series against USC, the Ducks will be a top 4 seed in the Big Ten tournament. That is massive. USC is a big RPI team, as well as Oregon, just like on the softball diamond, is looking to set themselves up to host on the baseball diamond. A big last weekend of the regular season at PK Park coming up this weekend with postseason play looming. Continuing to talk postseason when we come back on Duck Insider, because Oregon women's golf, they're in action down in their postseason round in Waco, talking about how the women are doing on the course, and some more when we come back on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
As a local community credit union founded by teachers, OnPoint is committed to supporting the students and faculty at the University of Oregon. And on game day, we're right there with you, on the field, in the bleachers, and in the classrooms. Drop by one of your local branches today and discover the many ways OnPoint can help support your financial well-being. OnPoint Community Credit Union. People are the point. Federally insured by NCUA. Equal housing opportunity.
We know you turn to the Duck Store for all your game day needs. And for students at the University of Oregon, it's even more. Class supplies, jobs, a seat on our board, a place to take a quick coffee break. Because we're your student-first, non-profit college store, every purchase you make directly supports the very community we serve. From working in our counters to studying in the classroom, from directing our stores to cheering in the stands, the people we serve, the students, are the very people who are the Duck Store.
You're listening to Duck Insider. Duck Insider on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
In sitcoms, when someone has a problem, they just blurt it out and move on.
Well, I lost my job and my parakeet is missing. How was your day?
But the real world is different. Managing life's challenges can be overwhelming. So, what do? We get support. The Huntsman Mental Health Institute and the Ad Council have mental health resources available for you at loveyourmindtoday.org. That's loveyourmindtoday.org. See how much further you can go when you take care of your mental health.
Snakes, zombies, sharks, heights, speaking in public. The list of fears is endless. But while you're clutching your blanket in the dark, wondering if that sound in the hall was actually a footstep, the real danger is in your hand, when you're behind the wheel. And while you might think a great white shark is scary, what's really terrifying and even deadly is distracted driving. Eyes forward, don't drive distracted. Brought to you by NHTSA and the Ad Council.
I left my heart in Oregon. Oh, I left my heart in Oregon. Yeah, I left my heart in Oregon.
We're back inside the Country Financial Studio. It's Duck Insider, brought to you by OnPoint Community Credit Union. A big weekend on the diamond for both Oregon softball and Oregon baseball. Not only this last weekend with the selections and the number one team in the country facing off, but also this upcoming weekend because USC is a really talented team, and it's a series that means a ton for Oregon baseball and Oregon softball in postseason at the Jane hosting the Eugene Regional. I think you should just go to both. Maybe clone yourself. Be at both events at one time. I hope Eugene comes out and supports both of their Diamond Sports teams this weekend in postseason play and in probably the most impactful regular season series of the year for Oregon baseball. Oregon women's golf, they're on the course in the Waco Regional, and the Ducks for the first round, they're in a tie for second, even par. Kiara Romero off to a great start to the first round. She's 4 under and in a tie for first place. This is the regional round. Top 5 teams advance, and Oregon right now has a 7-shot cushion over the cut line. So, Oregon, if they can continue, they're in solid shape. The Ducks, postseason, it's here, baby. Go Ducks.
My name is Ariel. I moved to the U.S. at 19. I spoke no English and I struggled finding job opportunities. Everything I have, I owe to the Adult Literacy Center and getting my high school diploma at age 22.
It was an honor helping you achieve your greatness. Now you're helping others achieve theirs. It inspires me.
When you graduate